All right, sorry we're a little bit late. Both of us had some work that ran over a little bit, but in any case, we're here. I'm Ultra David.
And I'm updating the stuff on the side. I forgot to do that. So.
James Chen.
Yes. How's everybody going?
There it is. So we're going to do it a little bit differently today and probably going forward. Typically, we talk about tournament results right off the top, and then we do whatever else is after that. You know, it's been tournament results, then upcoming events, then whatever. But instead, we're going to start off with some sort of thoughts. We're going to have some thoughts.
Some interesting topics.
We'll have topics to talk about. And then we'll go through tournament results, and then we'll talk about upcoming events, and then we'll talk about game news and, you know, all sorts of the other stuff.
Right.
But we are going to have a little bit of a different format.
There we go, okay.
There you go, and that is going to be the first topic this time. This first new topic time.
Not just that Zangief was announced amongst other characters.
Indeed.
But, you know, there was a big conversation on Twitter today between a bunch of people regarding Street Fighter V and where it may actually kind of fall within the importance of the fighting game community and such. We'll get into it in more details, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. So yeah, we'll try to start off with some more opinion kind of, you know, discussions and stuff like that before we move on to the standard news. So hopefully that should be cool. But I mean, the first thing that we are going to talk about is news. It's kind of big news.
It is news.
Every time when they come out with new characters in Street Fighter V, it's always kind of important.
Okay.
And they're coming out with, they just announced that in a very not so subtle hint pick. That was actually one of Ono's weakest hint picks.
It was.
So far. But Zangief.
Zangief in Street Fighter V.
The Red Cyclone is out here for Street Fighter V.
And literally a cyclone this time.
Yes, that's right.
This time, literally a cyclone.
Zangief has also turned part owl because he can rotate his body and his head stays in place.
No, you haven't slowed it down?
No.
If you slow down the YouTube video, you can actually see him flipping around.
Does he actually do like the ice skater turn thing?
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
really?
He actually does that.
Oh.
Yeah, he actually moves his head around. It's very fast, but you can actually see it.
See, I thought it was like Akuma's Rafflecopter in Ultra.
They actually animated his full movement. Props to them.
Nice.
So initial thoughts on Zangief. I think he looks great. Like looks.
Okay.
I felt that he looks very good. With a lot of the other characters, I like some things about them. Mika, I love her animation. I feel like she's animated very well. Not a big fan of some of the other graphical choices that they made. When it comes to Ken, a lot of people thought his hair looked silly. Whatever, there's a lot of things. But personally, I think that they did a really good job on Geef. Complete 180 from Street Fighter 4, where he looks awful. He just looks like a rock.
I agree.
Like he looks like a stone.
Dude, ever since you pointed out that after he SPDs you, he does that puppet string thing. I can't.
I will tell you this though, it's not that much better in SF5.
Oh, okay.
If you look closely after he lands Pile Driver, he still sort of comes up to the ceiling magically.
Okay.
But the rest of him, I feel, is animated quite nicely, and I like how his face looks. I think he did a good job on him.
Yeah, I think graphically he looks really cool, and to be honest with you, I just like a lot of the way he looked. Like the trailer, I mean, people talked about his V skill and his V trigger a lot, but people didn't talk a lot about little really subtle things that happen in the trailer. Should I play the trailer on stream right here?
Why not?
So people can see this, right?
You should probably mute it. For copyright concerns.
Has that happened?
Yes, it has.
Oh my god, really?
Yep.
Okay, so you guys aren't going to be able to hear it. You'll just be able to...
Hey, you know what? But you'll have the commentary of Ultra David and James Chen.
That's right. Okay, here we go. So here we go. Let's play this, and it's going to be muted here, so you can't hear anything. But you can definitely...
It's Zangief. There he is.
Zangief.
Look at him. I really feel he looks good.
Yeah, his design
like the muscles,
I like the stocky look that he has, right? But see, he's got armor on Fierce.
Yeah, stand Fierce.
Right? He's got this cool air spinning pile driver that he can juggle off of.
Right.
He's got a crush counter that combos into a throw.
Yes.
And then this headbutt. Okay, let me go back for a second. Someone actually pointed this out to me, which is really weird. You know, there's a million anti-projectile moves already, right?
Yes, for sure.
Now watch him headbutt this fireball, right? fireball doesn't go away.
I saw that. Go back just a little bit further, though.
Boom. Right? It's just still sitting there.
Go back just a little bit. Yeah, there you go. That's probably fine.
Okay.
Yeah, if you notice, Dictator is yellow. So
that's right.
It's EX ball. Because later on, Momochi played with Geef. And there's footage of it.
Oh, that's right.
And
he
he headbutts the fireball like normal fireball. Okay. But he doesn't move forward. He just neutralizes it, and it's hard to time.
Some people are saying let the trailer go and then we'll go. Okay. So here we go. Hurrah! Formada Russia!
I'm gonna eat that ass.
KO! Zangief wins! Hopefully they won't actually like kill us for that kind of stuff. So, okay, we go back here. So,
Shoutouts to Spabrog's edit of it.
Oh yeah,
dude, that was hilarious.
But yeah, so he's got an air spinning pile driver.
Yeah,
which is sick.
And on whiff. He stays up in the air a little bit.
So it's like Hager and Marvel.
It is.
A little bit. And because the thing about it is, I always thought if they gave him an air SPD, he'd be too good. But here they gave him one. So I'm curious to see how this is going to work.
And juggles even.
Yeah. Well, that looked like a crush counter.
Do you think?
I think it's a crush counter setup.
I don't know if it crush counters.
Right.
Counter hit, yeah.
Boom. See, it kind of has this like really special kind of explosion. But what is that move? What is that move? Yeah, that elbow.
I don't know what the button is.
That elbow is, yeah. He's got this nice little anti-air elbow that if he gets a counter hit potentially. But then I guess you can combo off of that. So if you're close enough and you frame trap with Stand Fierce, maybe you can get like 720s or something like that off of it afterwards. You know, if you're close enough.
Yeah.
And then you're right, multi-hit right there. And then...
Yeah. The business.
I also like how they even zoomed in for it themselves.
Oh, perfect pause timing.
Yeah, perfect pause timing. There you go. Zangief.
I actually really like that. Just briefly go forward and then try to pause it where it ends.
Right. Well, I will say one thing. This obviously proves that Zangief is a real jerk. So.
All right. You know what? It also relates to Banana Fighter 5.
That's right.
In a slightly different way.
Yes.
So see where he ends up. See where the dick ends. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So that's where Dictator ends up. I hope that is still pile driver range.
Dude, that would...
that's what I hope. It's probably not.
I remember when Combo Fiend first showed us this game that he actually mentioned that they wanted to make all the counters appropriate for the character.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually super good because if they're just not expecting it, it's like boom, all of a sudden you get some action on Dictator over here, then you can just SPD him and he's not even thinking about it. You know what I mean? You can catch people off guard.
Or at least there's a mix-up out of it, right?
Right. Exactly. If they jump away, jump air SPD. Dude, there's just so much potential.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But then here's this.
So that's the V skill.
Right.
The V skill, if you hold it down, he sort of waddles. But if you let it go, he just does that pump up, and then he sort of returns to neutral.
Right. So you'll see
Yeah, exactly like that.
Right. Oh, okay. Never mind.
They don't show the attack, but he does do an attack out of it if you hold it.
Mm-hmm. But so now here's the interesting thing. It looks like he canceled that parry into the SPD.
Do you think? I'm not sure if he canceled it or if he just
let it run out.
It might have just been back to neutral.
Because to be honest with you, this Bison is obviously just sitting here.
Yeah,
he's just sitting there.
Yeah, of course.
To be dead. So I don't think it's going to be as good as like Ryu's parry.
Yeah, I would be surprised.
So.
I would be surprised.
And then here's this new vacuum move that he has. Oh, okay.
So just slow it down. Go to like 25%.
Yeah, I can actually see a little bit of the head twirling now, actually. So let's see here.
Okay, see, he's still a little bit.
Yeah. Not as bad, though.
Not as bad.
Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah!
Look at it!
Whoop. Okay, I like it. Okay, now it's not as silly as I thought it was.
Yeah, he actually moves. They actually animated it. It's cool.
Okay, cool. But there you go. So really kind of neat thing. So obviously a lot of people have probably seen that animated GIF where he just uses it to suck Ryu through a fireball and then SPD him. I'm really wondering what the situation afterwards it's done. Like, is it plus? Is it minus? Is it like tandem engine? Is it dependent on distance? It's really good. Can you just combo off of vacuuming them in?
Well, it seems like it launches if you hit with it. And in that video where Momochi plays with Ayano, one of them does it, and the other Zangief blocks, and then the Zangief that blocked did a pile driver.
Right.
So maybe reversal punish SPD, or maybe neither of them jumped. It's hard to know what the situation is.
Now here comes the super, which I am going to say right now, the KO screen ruins the super.
Really?
I've seen this animation super without the KO screen, and it's actually better in my opinion.
Really?
Because what you can't notice is he actually buries you halfway into the ground. You know how that the birdie super has the potential to leave you in the ground sometimes? That must be a state, like being buried halfway into the ground, just as an animation funniness, right?
Okay.
But see, you're actually buried halfway in the ground.
Okay.
So that's what he does. He slams you, and then he squeezes you further into the ground.
Yeah.
So that's what the 2 hits are supposed to be. See? Boom, right there.
Okay.
But the explosion really kind of takes away from that effect.
Interesting.
So when I saw it without the super, the KO explosion, but I don't know. I think he looks really interesting. Like look, all of us were pretty much on Twitter. We were like guaranteed that V-Skill's gonna be Green Hand or Lariat, or something like that, and like maybe V-Trigger will be Mecha Zangief.
Right.
But they actually came up with some pretty creative ideas here.
They did, and in retrospect, I felt kind of silly for thinking it would be something so obvious, because they have changed the other characters quite a bit. Vega is a totally different character.
That's true, yeah.
Birdie's quite different. They made a lot of changes to Mika. I mean, a lot of the returning cast, Ken is quite different. A lot of the returning cast had significant changes, so in retrospect, I don't know why I thought that it would be so obvious, but you're right. Ended up being very interesting. I really like the V-Trigger. So that GIF you're talking about where he sucks in Ryu, it's Fireball Invincible, and Geef goes for the pile driver and grabs Ryu. That situation came up again in that match.
Okay.
And Ryu jumped away. So it's not like a guaranteed thing, at least not at that range. There might be ranges. What I hope is the case is that if you see somebody whiff some normal from some distance, maybe just outside of pile driver range, maybe you suck them in and boom, maybe for the grab. That's hard to know, but it looks like it starts up quickly and it looks like it recovers quickly.
Right. See, now here's the interesting factor though. See, before the problem was that against Zangief, if you got put into that 50-50 until he got Ultra 2, it was always better to jump away. Because what was it? Well, you was going to kick you out of the air, right? So you would take that mix up. But they've given him an air SPD. So even if none of those situations are guaranteed SPDs, it still sucks to be in that situation if the air SPD does a decent amount of damage. Because now he's got both options. This is why I've always said, like, I've always felt like if they gave him that, he'd be too good. Like Potemkin got an air SPD, but it was a force break. It cost meter to do.
Oh,
you know
really?
what I mean? Yeah, so it was a metered kind of thing. But this just looks like Zangief can do it any time.
Yeah, he can. There's a regular one.
And so, if he ever puts you into that 50-50 situation, it kind of is a 50-50 now. You know?
I do feel like it's a little bit worse than in SF4, though, because in SF4 he had the much less committed crouching short, green hand to stop people from jumping away.
That's right.
When you could even crouch type the first one. So I don't know that it'll be that good, but it's certainly a scary situation to be in. I imagine that lots of interesting things could come out of it. Not just pile driver, but maybe the stand fierce for armor if you're expecting a DP. There's a lot of I think there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can end up doing with it. So I expect there to be some punishes. Maybe somebody whiffs. There was an article out today where Maximilian, I guess, said that it seems like Ken's Dragon Punch is really hard to punish.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe as Geef, you do V-Trigger activate Suck In a way that you wouldn't be able to punish otherwise. I don't know. I'm just thinking about it, but that seems like it could be interesting. So I really like the V-Trigger because, one of my favorite grapplers ever is Tager. I love the Tager design. I love being able to play with where my opponent is on screen. That's fascinating to me.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And Tager can't walk very well, but he can force your movement rather than moving his own. I think that's really cool.
Right.
So Geef has that to some degree,
yeah,
while having seemingly better move. He certainly has a dash in a way that Aether doesn't.
And some people were saying that the dash looks fast.
It does look pretty fast.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really like his V trigger. What do you think about the V skill?
The V skill, I mean, the V skill. Sorry, I just totally blanked here for a second here. The V skill, like I said, it depends on whether you can cancel it into itself. It depends on how negative it is, because, like I said, the bison in the video is clearly, here, demonstrate the V skill. Punch, wait, punch, wait, punch, wait. Yeah. You know, you can see that it's definitely demonstrating the skill. However, I'm wondering how good it'll be against jump attacks. You know, but I mean, Zangief's never worried about that. Really, I feel like it's got to be super useful for those. So basically, the way the Zangief game has always turned out in every Street Fighter is, here's Zangief, he's really good. Opponent figures out that one button that ruins your life. Zangief's not so good anymore, right?
Pretty much.
That parry could be the counter to that.
Yeah.
Because if people are throwing out like a bison roundhouse, for example, and he can parry it and dash SPD and catch them by surprise or something like that, it might actually open up his game a lot. I mean, it's just seeing all these things that are happening in the game. I really want to play him in this game. I really want to play him. Like, I feel like I want to go back to my roots as a Zangief main, you know, from like hyper fighting days. So, you know.
Well, you know, I wasn't that excited when the Geef pick was first tweeted.
Right.
Just because I feel like there are so many grapplers already, and I want a different style.
Mm-hmm.
But they did change his grappler style is not a traditional Street Fighter grappler style.
Yeah,
it's like a Blazblue style.
Right.
Awesome. So I'm much more excited for how he turned out than what I expected when Ono first tweeted that.
Yeah. And I think it also does have a lot to do with how you said that he just looks kind of good. Like, just visually, he just looks good. Like, I like how he looks kind of tall but still kind of stocky.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, there's just something, it's a good look to it, so. But
there are a lot of grapplers in the game.
Dude, there's
there are lots of command grabs in the game. Is Vega a grappler?
Yeah, probably not.
I don't know. But certainly he'll have a useful command grab. You know what I mean? So it sort of blends. It does what many other games do, and what Street Fighter has rarely done, which is give command grabs to a lot of characters.
Yeah,
it's not the only game.
Like KOF, for example, command grabs everywhere. Guilty Gear, command grabs everywhere.
Vampire Savior, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of.
Well, Vampire Savior, everybody's always, except for poor Anakiris,
right?
Unless you count this.
Right, if you're in the right spot, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm excited for it, even though he is a grappler, because I feel like he's different enough.
Right. So. Unfortunately, for Mr. Yoshinori Ono,
yes,
Zangief was not the only character who was revealed this last week. And he even tweeted something like he sounded so heartbroken about it.
Yeah,
too.
He said, I forget what the phrasing was, but it was like he got stabbed in the back or something. He's mad about it.
Yeah. So a news site, I guess, uploaded pictures of the next reveal. Yeah. A little too early, and dude, it just doesn't take detectives very long to find stuff, and people found these pictures, I guess, of the next reveal character, who's apparently a Brazilian female, Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter named Laura.
Is the Brazilian jiu-jitsu part of it, is that a thing, or is that what people are thinking based on the screenshots?
I think just based on the screenshots.
Yeah,
we know no details about this character.
Right, so it's obviously it's a secret leak. It really, honestly, it sucks.
Yeah.
I will say it sucks.
Dude, they have been doing so well.
They have, and I will tell you this. I feel like this was the one that they least wanted, at least Ono, least wanted to be leaked because, this week leading up to the Brazil game show, where presumably she would have been announced.
Right.
The whole week he would have been showing these pictures. She has electricity.
Yeah.
And she has the color green.
Yeah.
And she's in Brazil.
Right.
And he's going to Brazil to reveal a character. And he has the little Blanca figurine.
And everyone knows he loves Blanca, yeah.
There were so many opportunities there for trolling, and as much as sometimes I'm not a big Ono fan, I just feel really bad for him that he didn't get to do any of that. And furthermore, I even feel like I'm a little bit cheated.
Yeah, I kind of agree
so
too. So
I feel really bad.
It would have been.
It sucks.
I would have liked to have seen this character revealed in motion, as opposed to pictures, because we would have learned a lot more. But now everyone's sitting here looking at it and staring at it for a while. It's unfortunate. It sucks for Capcom.
Like if Geef had been leaked, like a lot of people would have been like, "Oh, it's yeah." There's Zangief, like
exactly.
You know, a lot of the other characters too. Even if like Rashid had been leaked, I feel like it wouldn't have been as personally annoying for Odo.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, obviously for the rest of the team, it would have been frustrating either way, and I can only imagine what they're all going through. That must have totally thrown plans off. So.
Yeah, I feel really bad for them, but and like I said, they had been doing so well. In fact, people had even been like trying to trick people with that website where they showed the source and they edited it in the notepad, to fake things like that. People have been trying all sorts of things, but no, Capcom's actually been doing an amazing job keeping all these secrets. And then one of the brand new characters got leaked like that, and it's just like
the one that's like the clear Blanca troll opportunity. So anyway, she looks like she has sort of grappler moves, but she also has electricity, I guess, or at least yellow.
Yeah,
something yellow is happening in some of those screenshots. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how she plays. I feel like it's like too bad to have another grappler, but I just got done saying that I feel like Geef is different enough so that I'm okay with it. So maybe they did the same thing with Laura, but it does feel like they're going very hard in on that sort of style.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Birdie doesn't feel like a grappler to me at all.
I agree with that.
Like I remember someone was saying like, because I was talking about the beta, and I was like, I feel like Birdie's the best character in this right now, and someone's like, do you think it's just grappler syndrome? And my response was, wait, that's right. Is he a grappler? Like, I totally forgot that he was a grappler, at that moment. But because really what it turned out was Birdie was just really hard to fight. And then he would grapple you because you had forgotten that he was a grappler kind of a situation. If he was winning based off of the SPDs, then it would be grappler syndrome. But he's not winning off of those SPDs at first, so...
Well, we'll see what Laura does. I guess they'll announce it. It could be like the greatest counter troll ever. It could be that
Blanca does get
that's actually Blanca.
Dude, if they did that, I would give them so much credit.
It would be amazing.
I would give them so much credit.
Not happening, but it would be amazing.
Yeah. But I mean, cool stuff. But with more grapplers, a lot of people are saying that. Oh well, I guess this means no Alex, and all these things like that. But here's the interesting thing. I went to that character page because I wanted to see if I could check the view source and see if it truly was like that or whatever. But they have those character profile pictures, and they give them their little stats, like, technique and strength and life and range and all these things like that, right? First of all, I'm just going to be salty for 1 second here, okay? Every character had a technique of 3 to 5, except one character was Cammy, who had a technique of 2. So it's like they're admitting that she's boring.
Dang.
That made me sad. But the most interesting thing to me is that no character had a range of 5. No character had a range of 5. Now, if you had rated them ahead of time, knowing that a character like Dalsum or Necro were in the game,
genius.
You would probably save them for the 5.
Reading in between the lines.
Exactly. So, what do you think? What do you think of Sim's chances of getting in here?
Actually, I think they're pretty good because Sim, player in Norway, got to play it at Call of Ragnarok, I think it was, and he spoke with a Capcom rep there, and the Capcom and Sim said, I'd love to see something like I'd love to see Dalsum. I heard the conversation once he tweeted about it.
Right.
And the Capcom rep said something to the effect of, keep waiting, there will be, that style will be satisfied, something to that degree.
Okay.
Something that sort of meant there will be a zoner.
Right.
And he didn't say, like, it's Dalsum, but it seemed like that was the implication from how he tweeted about it. So,
because here's the thing, right? Like Dalsum could actually be super interesting. I was thinking about it a little bit. Like, what if they made it so that his V trigger was kind of like Nash, and now his Yoga Teleport is his V trigger.
Okay.
So because it's a metered resource, you can make it ridiculously good. So anytime he gets in the corner, like if you start and play well enough and then get to the corner, V-trigger, then play well enough and get to the corner, V-trigger, then play well enough, he could be really annoying, like if that's what they did with him.
That would be cool. I just think that he would fit well into the system. Maybe not into all the anti projectiles that are in the game. Like every character has something that's anti-projectile.
Right.
But the system of the game itself, where White Life is taken off, I feel like harassing with normals would finally mean something. Almost no games does it actually mean something. It's just a harassment.
Right.
And oftentimes, in fact, if you have somebody block your Stand Fierce, you are now in a worse position as the Dalsum than you would have been otherwise. So it's not even that great. Yeah. But it could be if it took off White Life and then somebody jumps in and bam, your background house or whatever deals a lot of damage. I feel like that could be really good as long as the limbs are far enough. It's not just projectile zoning. There's other stuff, or that there's mobility, so that maybe somebody can get in, but Dalsum can finally do something about it. He can finally move around.
What if they gave him the only air V skill that the drills were a V skill or something like that?
That would be cool. I would love to have some variety like that.
Yeah, but I will say one
V-trigger,
thing.
maybe he flies.
Alpha 3 was the one game where blocking Standing Fierce was a problem.
Oh, you're right. Okay, fair enough.
That was the one game. Because once you got low enough, then he would just jump and drill, and he'd be right in there ready to break your life, and then hit you with a level 3 super or something like that.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully that does happen. I guess expect Laura coming up this weekend. But in the meantime, I know that there's been a lot of talk about Street Fighter V. You alluded to a conversation earlier today that people had on Twitter.
Yeah, so this was kind of spurred on by L.I. Joe. Shout outs to Mr. Joe. He basically tweeted, is like, man, Street Fighter V is going to mean so much to the FGC kind of thing. Actually, let me just find the tweet.
Sure.
So that way I'm just not... This is L.I. Joe. What he said is, Street Fighter V has such an overall importance to the scene and its evolution. It's wild when you think about it.
Okay.
And to that, I immediately replied, that game is literally going to make or break the FGC. Sucks to put that much pressure on it, and that it's a Capcom game again. But I just said give me a counter argument. Tell me I'm wrong. Kind of a situation.
Well, I think you clarified a little bit that in make or break, you didn't mean that the FGC would
die.
Go away.
Yeah, and that's kind of what spawned the Blow Up Tuesday argument.
I feel like that's the point.
Because I obviously worded it badly thanks to Twitter, Twitter problems and stuff like that. But what I really meant was that I felt like Street Fighter V, so the way that I described it to Joe a little bit later on, and I'll use a fighting game analogy, how when you're trying to get good, and you just reach this wall all of a sudden, you're like, I can't get any better. But then all of a sudden you reach that one epiphany. You're like, wait a second, I get fighting games all of a sudden. And then all of a sudden that opens up this whole world where all of a sudden you understand why option selects work, why safe jumps, why footsies work, all these things. And it's not even just that one epiphany that was the key. It was that made you learn all these different things. It was just this one bottleneck kind of catching you here, right? So that's how I feel Street Fighter V is. I feel like the fighting game community is going to keep growing, but then reach a point where it can kind of get stuck, where it's we might not be able to grow anymore. I feel like Street Fighter V has that potential to get us past that little bottleneck. And once Street Fighter V gets us past that bottleneck, then it could be anything else that will take us to the greater land or whatever like that. So I even said MK11 Smash next, or Guilty Gear XXXX, or Rising Thunder 2, for example, or anything at that point in time. The sky's the limit, but I feel like the Street Fighter, the fighting game community is at this point right now where we kind of need to jump one little level, and then it's kind of like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, when you score that one level and you can't drop back down below that anymore. Yeah. I feel like Street Fighter V has that potential. So what I guess I meant by make or break was make or break that grand future of fighting games is kind of how I'm viewing it. So
okay, I think I'm maybe a little bit less bullish about it.
Yeah.
I just, not that I think that it'll go badly or anything, but I don't think it has maybe that level of upside, and I don't think that it has that amount of downside. I mean, you're not saying it's going to get worse, but I feel like there's something riding on it, clearly. Like, it can definitely increase the size of the fighting game community, but I don't expect it to change by leaps and bounds. I don't really see evidence for the thought that we're at a bottleneck, or that we're approaching a bottleneck, just because the growth rate has been crazy for some years now, and it doesn't. I haven't seen any signs that it's slowing down. Right, viewership and player entries and amount of games coming out, whatever metric it is, I feel like we're still growing considerably.
Yeah.
But certainly having SF5 do well would be great. It would be very helpful. Street Fighter is one of those franchises that wherever you are is a big fighting game franchise. Like in North America and some other places, maybe it's also Mortal Kombat, maybe it's Smash in some places. In some places it's anime games. I mean, it depends, obviously. But Street Fighter is one of the ones it's everywhere.
Right.
And so it can be really, really helpful. There's no doubt about that. I don't expect it to flop or drop the ball. I feel like MK dropped the ball. Right. I mean, when MKX before it was coming out, we talked about how we thought that it had a big upside, that it could really help improve the size of the fighting game.
It could potentially become the #1 game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I still feel like that it did have that potential. Clearly, that didn't happen. It's NRS's fault. The online was terrible. Right. The ports were awful.
Ports were canceled.
There are many patches and whatever other problems that happened. There was a lot of stuff that they dropped the ball on, as good as I think the game is gameplay-wise. I don't think that Capcom will make some of those mistakes. It seems like they're not, because they're beta testing for the online play, and they've already said that they're going to take a little bit of an easier or a little bit more hands-off approach when it comes to patching. Not that they won't be patching, but it's not going to be constant.
You find anything broken, I'm sure they'll patch it as soon as they can.
Yeah, and it's only going to be 2 platforms, and they'll be able to play against each other. So the ports business is not going to be there. So I feel like it should be good, but I don't expect it to have the FGC take off.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't even know if Street Fighter V will get us there. Like I said, I just think it'll kind of just allow us to get us there. In a weird way, I don't know if people just don't if that makes any sense to what what I'm saying here. Like it's necessary but not sufficient. Yeah, because the thing about it is, it's the one game right now that has the over a decade of brand recognition. So I feel like it has a lot of. That's 25 years. Yeah, it has some of the best brand recognition. Yeah. That will allow people to stick with it, right? If they play their cards right, and this is a big if, if the Capcom Fighting Network is good, I'm not even talking about the netcode, because the problem with it right now is you go online, you get beat up, and you're like, why do I want to play this? If you can have a different reason when you go online to play and earn points even if you lose or something like that, because the thing is, when you lose, you gain literally nothing. There's just no benefit to it. That's why you have rage quitters and pullers and stuff like that, right? If you lost, but you still gained something out of it or something, or if there's ranking or some kind of system, or... Yeah, this is part of the upside that we saw in MK, which is not just playing against other people regularly online. There's Test Your Might or wherever, there's Test Your Luck, and there's towers, and there's this whole team-based system. A lot of extra things that seemed at the time like they could draw in more people. Right, exactly. So if the Capcom Fighting Network could do something like that, and like I said, this is a big if. It could come out and the Capcom Fighting Network is just a glorified name for lobby and rank. Yeah. That could be the case. If that's the case, then never mind. For sure. But if that works out really well, I think that's big, because really retaining a lot of the players who join the game is important. And if online is the best that you can do, which is just ranked in lobbies, and all you do is just get beat up all day, that's not going to retain the players, right? So another thing too, in my opinion, that Street Fighter V has going for it is the Capcom Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Is that it's the first really big game that has that developer support. And it's not that necessarily Street Fighter V having Capcom support is what's going to make it big. But if the Capcom Pro Tour is a success this year, does really well, looks well for Sony, like it does well for Sony, does well for Capcom and everything like that, and next year everyone's hyped for it and all that stuff like that, it sends a message to every other fighting game developer out there that yes, this works. This tournament scene works, it will help your game grow, it gives it good publicity, etc., etc., and that gives a lot of the other companies more leeway to be like, hey, give us this chance to try to do this. So this is why I don't even think necessarily that just because I say Street Fighter V is a big determining factor, I don't say that it's going to be the one that succeeds. Like, let's say it does that, and what if Nintendo's like, this is kind of interesting. Let's do this for Smash. Dude, that could explode into like ridiculousness
sure,
at that
could
point.
be great.
But it's
maybe
Nintendo.
A little bit of a pipe dream there.
Yeah. But as an example,
Yeah.
right? You know, or maybe even Warner Brothers will be like, let's throw more money into this. Let's do it a different way. Let's run it ourselves, or or something. It's just, I feel like if Street Fighter V pulls it off with the Capcom Pro Tour, it's a sign to everybody that all these years of us in the fighting game community saying, look, if you support us, your games will sell better, your games will do well, your games will be more popular. We've never had a chance to prove that. And in this particular situation, Capcom is obviously watching, and if we can prove it to them, I just feel like a lot of traction happens, not even just with Capcom, but with every company. I mean, look how many people are trying to copy Capcom Pro Tour already. We've got our Dead or Alive one, we've got a King of the Iron Fist tournament, all the Ultra Arcade was sponsoring that Killer Instinct one and stuff like that. Maybe Arxis will be like, dude, let's do this crazy Guilty Gear thing, you know what I mean, for the planet. I just feel like it has the potential to open up a lot of eyes. So it's not even necessarily Capcom that will benefit, but a bunch of other people, so.
Okay, yeah, certainly if SF5 does well, it'll be a boon for everybody else too, because what will happen is what has happened, which is people come in for SF4 or whatever game that they get brought in on,
Right.
and then some of them realize, actually, I prefer Guilty Gear, or actually I prefer Smash, or whatever.
Exactly.
That happens. It's
All
always
the time.
happening. Yeah.
All the time. Yeah.
So that'll be beneficial just to have more people in one game, because they'll sort of move around to other games eventually to some degree. But yeah, I don't think that it will be gigantic.
Yeah. Neither do
I think it'll be
yeah.
big. I expect to have more players in the same way that we had more players eventually for SF4. It wasn't even like the first year. I feel like it took a while. But it happened. And, hopefully that does happen. Hopefully they don't drop the ball.
I mean, I honestly don't even think Street Fighter V will even come close to like Dota levels. Or
No, it's
League of
impossible.
Legends
It's not
levels.
even worth talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So when I say that I think it'll do good for us,
Yeah.
that I just want to set the
Of course.
expectation properly. I'm not saying like, boom, Staples Center next year, let's do this.
For sure.
No, not like that. I
For
just
sure.
think it's opening doors. I just think it's opening a lot
Well,
of doors.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It's not impossible, by the way, on the other end of things, for things to go downhill. Fighting games have fallen apart in the past. It has happened.
Yeah.
And it hasn't just been fighting games. Like, a lot of first-person shooters fell apart for a long period of time. Might be that RTS is falling apart right now. You know what I mean? That's so that there's definitely swings to things
Oh yeah.
in that respect. But I don't expect that SF5 to be anything like a cause of any of that stuff.
Right.
So.
Okay.
We'll see.
Cool. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, if you guys have any thoughts on the topics, feel free to tweet us at UltraChenTV, and we'll get back to you on that Twitter account if we, look at it enough and stuff. So, but okay. So, do you want to take a break before we go on to this past weekend's results
Yeah, let's
of
take a
events and stuff? All right. We'll be right back.